Today we're talking about the new Maybelline SuperStay LUMI Matte Foundation. It's supposed to have a 30-hour wear, although we are not going to be doing a 30-hour wear test. In today's video, we're going to go over what this claims to do. We're also going to show you the application, and I'm going to do a mini wear test. Before we get into the video, my name's Brittany. I'm an over 30 former makeup artist and educator, sharing industry tips and testing beauty products so that you can make better beauty buying decisions. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up before you go. Now let's get into it. So as I said in this video, we're going to talk about the claims, and then we'll get into the application and then the wear test, and then of course talk about my final thoughts. Don't forget to check the description box as well for my final wear test thoughts. Let's talk about the packaging. I do like the packaging. It's a glass bottle. It has a plastic cap. Someone said that the cap seemed a little cheap to them. This is drugstore, so I didn't even think about it. Compare it to their previous foundation in the SuperStay line. I got the shade 120 in this one. This is the SuperStay 24-hour skin tint. You can see that this does have a little bit of a glow to it, where this one's supposed to be LUMI, but it's also supposed to be a matte, I believe a soft matte. But in this one, I got shade 118 because shade 120 looked a little too yellow for me. But overall, I think the packaging is cute. I love the detail on the side with the label and all of that good stuff. As far as the claims, I'm just going to read right off of Ulta. It says that this is a 30-hour LUMI Matte Foundation that delivers long wear, buildable, full coverage that lasts all day. It says that you can achieve a flawless base with our light as air formula that feels like nothing on the skin. Formula is flexible film, resists sweat, water, and transfer, and lasts up to 30 hours for all day shine control. And it says that it is formulated with amino acids for a luminous matte finish. This does say to shake well before use, which I did not do, but I feel like I still got an okay application. Apply 1 to 2 pumps to clean hydrated skin. Blend with a foundation brush, fingers, or beauty sponge to even out complexion. If needed, apply more foundation for extra coverage. So I would think that that means that this is a buildable foundation. Just to give you some background on my skin type, I am a oily dry combo. I would say right now my skin is leaning more towards dry, especially in these areas here. It's more so just dehydrated, and typically I would take a Aquaphor stick and hydrate that a little extra, but I didn't want to do that today because I wanted to really see how this foundation would sit on my skin. But I did make sure to moisturize really well. I used to be super oily. Like, I would go for nothing but mattifying products, primers, moisturizers, foundations. Like, it was all matte. Now I'm more dry, get oily throughout the day. So I feel like I would like this foundation, but typically I do like a foundation that is more on the natural looking side. So not too glowy and not too matte. If anything, more on the glowy side. My favorite foundation right now is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Glow. I feel like that's a medium buildable coverage and really does look like skin. And whenever I wear that, I get compliments on my skin like crazy. I also do have texture. I have large pores right in this area. My large pores and the dry areas are the biggest concern on my skin. So typically I try to go for a smoothing foundation and something that's not going to look too dry and become cakey throughout the day. So now let's hop into the application. So I am already moisturized. I'm just going to go ahead and put 2 pumps on the back of my hand. One side I'm going to do the brush, and then the other side I'm going to do a sponge. So for moisturizer, I have on the Dewy Skin Cream by Tatcha. I feel like with this foundation, I really needed something that's going to moisturize really well. Because when I tried this out, it definitely was more matte on me. And I tend to like more of a natural finish. So I'm hoping that this will give me more of a natural matte rather than a true matte. Okay, that looks better than it did the first time, but I want to go in and just kind of tap it in with the sponge because I do feel like it's sitting on top of my skin. See if I can get it to kind of blend in a little bit better. And then I'm going to go in on the other side with just a sponge. Now, when I tried this out, I definitely liked the sponge better. I feel like it blended better with the skin. And I did feel like when I tried it, it was blendable, so that was good. Okay, yeah, I definitely like the sponge side better. This definitely looks better now that I blended it out a little more with the sponge. So I'm going to go back in with just a little bit more, maybe like half a pump, and try to build this up a little bit. Right here is definitely my problem area where I get dry, especially around my nose and right here. So let's go in and do some bronzer and blush, concealer, and then I'm going to come back right away. As I'm putting this bronzer on, I can tell that it's not blending out as easy as it normally would. And when I'm doing this bronzer, I'm actually putting it on the back of my hand. I feel like that's because it's more of a matte formula, but we're going to get this to work. This is the Rare Beauty stick bronzer, by the way. Do a little Rare Beauty blush in Happy. I have this little sample size. You can see right in here, it's a little tiny bit settling in my smile line, which I really don't have smile lines, but you can see it kind of sticking there. On this side where we strictly just use the sponge, it doesn't look like that. I feel like this side is more smooth. I do feel like the bronzer worked out. At first, I was a little bit worried that it was going on a little bit patchy. I should have used a cream bronzer that I knew would work. I'm still kind of figuring out the Rare Beauty one, but anyways, I do feel like it looks nice and smooth. It is more matte, but what I'm going to do is set it with the setting spray, see if I can get this to come back to life. But first, I'm going to do the rest of my makeup, and then we will see where we are. As you can see too, what I did was just use my setting powder, the one size I know that I love, and I set the under eye and the top of my eyes, and I didn't really set the rest of my face because when I do wear a foundation that's more on the matte side, I kind of leave the rest alone because I don't want it to be dry. This does look like it sets itself in those other areas, so that's a good thing. So again, I just want to point out this side here where I use this sponge, you can definitely see it does have more of a luminosity kind of glow without being shimmery. I do want to say that. So this side is definitely more matte. So I prefer this with the sponge. Okay, so here's the rest of my makeup on. I feel like powder products went on really well. And by powder, I mean powder bronzer, powder blush. And I feel like where I did not set, still has a nice luminous glow, again, without shimmer. This side is going to be a little more matte because I did use a brush. So my personal opinion, I would stick with a sponge if you're more on the drier side or want more of that glowy, luminous look. So far, I definitely have to say this is better than my first impression. This is why I like to test things out with different primers, different brushes, different tools, sponges, whatever, moisturizers. It's super important. If my skin's more on the dry side where I'm having, you know, some dry flakiness going on, this is not going to look the best. So as long as you prep your skin with this foundation, I feel like you can definitely make this work. And so far, I think I'm going to wind up liking the end result. Right now, it is 11 o'clock. I'm going to go throughout the day, do my work, do what I got to do. We'll check in and we'll come back and talk about our final thoughts. It is now 1:11 and I feel like my skin looks pretty good. As you saw, it is a buildable foundation and I do prefer the side that I use the sponge on. I will say the sponge did help make this side where I use the brush blend better with my skin and starting to look a little more luminous, which is nice. This side, I feel like eventually I will have to blur, but right now I feel like I have the perfect amount of luminosity to my skin. I feel like I'm satisfied with the amount of blur that I got from this foundation. It's nothing that is going to blow you away, but it definitely does provide a blur to the skin, which I really like. You can see right here, I'm starting to get some breakup, but that is kind of normal with foundations for me nowadays, especially because I am a little bit more dry in that area. So I'm just going to take my sponge and blend it out. And my powder puff, that didn't really seem to work too well. So let me see if I can just take a little bit on a brush and fix that area. Okay, it doesn't help that my skin is a little more dry today than it has been. I've been traveling and all of that good stuff. So I'm just going to take a little bit of powder and try to set that as much as possible. But overall, in the last 3 hours, I feel like this foundation looks really good. I am excited to see how this wears throughout the day. I'm going to end the wear test here. However, do check the description box for my final thoughts and how long this wore for. If you want a longer wear test, I'd be happy to do that over on Instagram or TikTok. Just let me know. Make sure you leave that comment down below. As far as who I think that this would work really well for, I do think that this would work well for any skin type. I feel like if you are dry, just make sure that you prep your skin really well. Today I used the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream on my skin, and I feel like it really, really helped. I would say prep your skin at least an hour before, and then maybe about 20 minutes before you put the foundation on, put a good moisturizer on. I do want to try this with a primer. I did not do that today just because I wanted to really see how the foundation could wear on its own. But if you've used this with a primer, let me know which one you like. I would say my go-to primer, just because I know it won't affect the wear and won't affect the application of most foundations, is the e.l.f. gripping primer. So that's probably what I'll try next. I was a little worried with the cream bronzer when I did first apply it, but I feel like it might be partially the bronzer because it's new to me and I'm still learning how to use it, but also the fact that this is more of a matte formula, so maybe try using something that's a little more creamy. At least that's what I'll try to do next time. Feel like my powder, blush, and bronzer went on pretty well on top. I don't really have any complaints on that. Concealer blended out really nice as well. There we go. Just a little bit of Kosas Cloud Set Powder right around my nose seemed to do the trick. That's it for this quick review and wear test. Let me know if you've tried this down below, what type of skin you have, how you made it work, or if you didn't make it work. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys want me to try next, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video before you go, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.